Guys, let me tell you about the time that I went to Malaysia. If I tell you that these people were shooketh when I said there's Malay people in South Africa and we have Cape Malays, they looked at me like I was crazy. They were like, what? You have Cape Malays? You make curry in South Africa? They were baffled. Like, you had to see their faces. Jerry, ek wens ek het TikTok gehad het om vir julle te kan display hoe shocked hulle is as jy sê dinge soos we have Malays in South Africa, or we have white people in South Africa, and we are not running around with lions and elephants in our background, like in our backyard. Guys, they were shooketh. But I'm telling you, the food, the Malay, you know what? The Malay people look like, you know when you meet a typical like Muslim family with the tinted brown, so it's half but chocolate skin, but it's so biggie falarag, amper Indian rag. It's just like a, you know they're not black. You know what I'm saying? I don't know if you understand what I'm saying. Like a Muhammad. You know what I mean? Like a Tifa, Fatima, so they type outlook. They look like them. They look exactly, the Malay people look like them. Like those types of colors. They look the same like us, some of us, but they obviously speak differently. The food does not taste the same. We have the same names. The food does not taste the same, but they are unaware of the fact that we exist. They just think that, I guess, they're the only Malays in the world. But anyway, it was a great experience being there. But yeah, it was eye-opening because I did realize how different we are from the actual like Malay people. The culture is not the same. They don't do the same things we do, like, except for, I would say, the food was probably the only thing that felt to me like, okay, there's that similarity. And they had a lot of like Muslim people there. It's a Muslim country as well, like, so yeah.
These are some things which shocked me about Malaysia after moving here from Sweden. One is how technologically advanced it is. So like all the QR codes at all the restaurants where you can just order at your table, the QR codes to pay, like using touch and go, that doesn't exist in Sweden, and it's crazy that it's just so common here. Second one is not using a knife. So using a fork and a spoon to eat instead of a fork and a knife. Especially with meat, I still don't know how to do it properly. I'm so clumsy every time I'm trying to pick the meat off the bone. The third is how much luxury exists in Malaysia. So fancy cars, fancy restaurants, fancy cafes, they are everywhere, which doesn't really exist in Sweden. I assume it's because the gap in income is not so high in Sweden, so like the gap in establishments is not so high. So here you can literally get a meal for 500, 600, 1000 ringgit, but you can also get a meal for 5 ringgit, which does not exist in Sweden. Finally, this is kind of niche, but there is no good salty popcorn here. Like, there is salty popcorn, but it's not good, it's not buttery, and it's not salty enough, and I've been trying to find one for so long, but I haven't found any. People love to brag in Malaysia, and this is a huge shock coming from Sweden, where people are absolutely not supposed to brag. So Sweden, and actually the whole Scandinavia, has this mentality that's called jantelagen. And what that basically means is that you are not better than anyone else. You could be the CEO of the company, you are no better than the person washing the dishes. So bragging about how much you make, how expensive your things are, having a very fancy car, those are considered in very poor taste in Sweden. And that's because you don't want to make anyone feel worse just because you have it better. So I remember when I came here and I met people, and people started talking to me about the address they live at and the people they know and the bags they had, and I was like, people do that here? So it was a huge shock coming from Sweden, where people can drive like super old cars but live in like the most expensive multi-million-dollar house. Now, I don't necessarily think this is a positive thing either, because it means that people are very shy to talk about their own accomplishments, and they feel like they don't want to share the things that they've accomplished because they feel like they will appear like kind of they're bragging. But I think that some parts of jantelagen could be applied in Malaysia and could be incorporated into the culture, because I have seen people before at nice restaurants, at nice establishments, being very rude to people they consider as lower than, when I don't think that should be the case.
So, Christmas may be over, but in Malaysia, the festivities never end. Whilst now in the UK, you've just got New Year's to look forward to, and then unfortunately you're plunged into the bleak months, as I always call them, before anything exciting happens again. Here in Malaysia, it's a completely different story. Because, of course, Malaysia recognises all the festivals of all the different major religions in the country as public holidays. And then you have various other public holidays on top of that as well. So here is a little infographic that I stole from Fly FM's Instagram page showing all the upcoming public holidays and days off in 2025. Now keep in mind, this doesn't show New Year's Day, and it also doesn't show the holidays that are specific only to certain states, as most, if not all states in Malaysia will have public holidays that are specific just to them. And then in addition, for example, you have somewhere here like Sarawak where you also get the holidays around Easter as time off, and also you get things such as Gawai. So now, for example, things will already be ramping up ready for Chinese New Year. As it happens right now in the shops, you have the Christmas decorations and everything, and you already have the Chinese New Year decorations. So you literally go from Christmas to New Year to Chinese New Year. So as you can see, unlike the UK where you only get a pitiful 8 public holidays a year and they're all badly spaced out, here in Malaysia it is like back-to-back festivities, public holidays and celebrations all year round, and it's absolutely wonderful.
Tak ramai yang benar-benar sedar bahawa Malaysia sebenarnya antara negara paling terjaga di dunia, bukan kerana kesempurnaan, tetapi kerana cara kehidupan harian rakyatnya berjalan dengan tenang, teratur dan berfungsi tanpa banyak drama. Bagi orang tempatan, suasana ini dianggap biasa, jalan yang relatif selamat, masyarakat yang boleh hidup bersama dalam kepelbagaian, dan rutin harian yang tidak dipenuhi ketegangan. Namun bagi pelancong asing, pengalaman ini sering mengejutkan. Ramai datang dengan jangkaan yang dibentuk oleh media dan stereotaip, tetapi realiti di lapangan jauh berbeza apabila mereka melihat sendiri bagaimana rakyat Malaysia berinteraksi, bekerja, beribadah dan bergaul tanpa konflik besar. Di banyak bandar dan pekan, orang masih boleh berjalan malam dengan rasa selamat, berbual dengan orang asing tanpa curiga, dan menikmati ruang awam yang dikongsi bersama. Negara ini mungkin tidak sempurna, namun ia terjaga dari segi kestabilan sosial, toleransi budaya dan keseimbangan hidup yang semakin jarang ditemui di dunia hari ini. Pelancong asing sering menyedari bahawa Malaysia tidak memaksa keseragaman, sebaliknya menjaga keharmonian dengan memberi ruang kepada perbezaan, sama ada dari segi agama, bahasa atau gaya hidup. Inilah yang membuatkan ramai mereka berkata Malaysia tenang, bukan kerana tiada masalah, tetapi kerana masalah diurus tanpa membiarkan ia merosakkan kehidupan seharian. Selain itu, sistem dan budaya hidup di Malaysia menyokong kestabilan ini daripada sikap masyarakat yang bertolak ansur kepada norma sosial yang mengutamakan keharmonian berbanding konfrontasi. Dalam dunia yang semakin bising dengan konflik, tekanan kos sara hidup dan perpecahan sosial, Malaysia berdiri sebagai negara yang sederhana, berfungsi dan boleh didiami dengan selesa. Ramai pelancong pulang dengan satu kesimpulan yang sama. Malaysia tidak menjerit untuk dilihat, tetapi ia terjaga kerana rakyatnya memilih untuk menjaga. Dan disitulah kekuatan sebenar. Negara ini bukan pada kemewahan atau gembar-gembur, tetapi pada keupayaan untuk mengekalkan ketenangan, keselamatan dan kehidupan bersama secara konsisten. Tanpa disedari oleh ramai rakyatnya sendiri, Malaysia sedang menjadi contoh senyap bahawa sebuah negara tidak perlu sempurna untuk menjadi baik, cukup sekadar terjaga dan berfungsi demi manusia yang hidup di dalamnya.
This might sound a little bit hypocritical, but I've been thinking about it a lot. And yesterday I had an event, which was super cool, by the way, and I sold out all my products 3 hours before the event ended. So I had some time to chat and mingle with people. And I met this one mixed couple. The guy is from Sri Lanka and the girl is from European country. And they used to live in Malaysia and now living somewhere else, but keep coming back to KL. And then we started discussing how KL just hits the spot and it's a perfect place to live. And then we started laughing that we want to gatekeep this place and we don't really like talking about it too much because we don't want many more foreigners to move in. It's kind of obvious that if someone experiences KL, they will realize it checks all the boxes, so they would want to settle in here. And this is not the first time I had this discussion. I remember once also meeting another European couple that they said that for years they wanted to keep Malaysia Malaysia as a secret, and they didn't want a lot of other foreigners to come in here. What is the problem and why are we so hypocritical? So I think for me, I remember when I moved to Thailand, it had still this notion of a land of smile and an amazing, genuine local people. But this is not exactly the impression I had. And I love Thailand, I had great experience, but I did feel that local Thai people were quite annoyed with white people living there. And the relationship turned transactional, and it wasn't exactly the most genuine and natural, which is obviously not the case in Malaysia, and I spoke about it before as well. And this has nothing to do with the tourism, right? I think tourists create a really good impact on the economy and a lot of other aspects. But I think it's more from the perspective of foreigners settling in here, because this changes the dynamics quite significantly. And I think it needs to be done in a very sustainable and well thought through way to really create that positive impact on local people and avoid creating that disparity and contrast. So I think this is that fear that a lot of foreigners living here, including me, have, that if a lot of people realize how amazing KL to live in is, then the dynamic and the way of living here and co-living with the local people might completely change. And no one wants that. And we want to preserve Malaysia as it is now forever. And we just don't want to change anything in here. So I'm very curious about Malaysians' take on it and your local perspective. Would you want to have more foreigners coming in and moving into Malaysia? Or would you rather keep the balance that we have now, having some foreigners, but not too many of them living in here? Let me know, really curious, what are your thoughts on it?
I hated my life in Malaysia, and you know what? I'm not even ashamed, because I literally didn't do anything to love it. I was just always at home, studying and working, and barely saw the world around me. But my student visa expires in just 3 months, so I'm setting myself 100 goals to finally love this place before I leave. And you will be here to witness it all.
You guys were asking me where I live, so let me show you. As you can see, I live here. This is the trees that people live in Malaysia. And here you can see Singapore. If you want to see tall buildings, you should definitely go to Singapore. You see? From here, we can see all these beautiful tall buildings. So you're welcome.